catching feelings, baby.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brandi K. If you are new, welcome, and if you are returning, hey boo hey. Alright, so let's try to hop right into today's video. I have sat down several times to try to record this video, and each time I have been unsuccessful with posting this video because I felt like it wasn't the right time to discuss it. I felt no one wanted to hear my story, but I was like, today is going to be the day that I share my story and bring it to my platform. So as you can tell by the title, I did have a miscarriage, and that's why I have been MIA from YouTube. And this is all so still new, still fresh in my mind. So please excuse me if I break down or anything. I'm only human. And I'm just hoping that my story will help someone along the way. Maybe someone, you know, a woman has experienced this and you can relate, or you just never know what can happen in the future. But yes, I did have a miscarriage, and I was MIA from YouTube because I did fall into a semi-depression stage, and I had to pull myself out of that. I'm still trying to come out of it. I've never experienced anything of this nature, of being in a depressed stage. So now I can really relate when I hear people say, oh, you know, I've been depressed, or I've been this, I've been that. I can totally relate because this experience has taken a toll on me mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, on all levels that you can think of. And I pray that no woman has to endure what I have went through with this pregnancy. So my husband and I, long story short, my husband and I, we had been trying to conceive and nothing was working. And I just, you know, I was starting to lose that faith. But my husband kept on saying, keep the faith in God's perfect timing. You know, after you hear that so many times, honestly, you get tired of hearing that when someone else is telling you, because it's like, you're not going through it. Although you're my husband, you're going through it, but you're not me. You're not in my position. I felt like my body was failing me for whatever reason, that we were not able to conceive. And everyone around me was, you know, having babies. I'm attending baby showers. I'm doing this. I'm celebrating everybody else. But in the midst of me celebrating everybody else, I was battling with my internal struggles myself. And it was a battle of me versus me. It was a silent battle that I was facing, because I wasn't being fake to anyone whenever, you know, I would celebrate somebody else. And still, even when I celebrate someone who's having a baby, it's a genuine celebration for you. But on the inside, I'm like, Lord, when is it my time? Honestly, when is it my time? How many times do I have to celebrate with someone else? How many times do I have to endure this before it's my time to celebrate myself? And it was my time. I celebrated for a minute, and I'm not giving up, but I celebrated for a minute, and then boom. So I fell into the depression stage, and I didn't want to do anything. I really didn't want to go to work, but of course I need that money, honey. So I had to go to work. I didn't want to go to church. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. And at work, I still had to pretend like everything was a-okay, because I didn't want everybody in my business knowing that I was going through this traumatic experience. Come June, my cycle didn't come. And I'm like, okay, why is my cycle not here? What's going on? So I knew something was going on, and I have the Flow app, and my Flow app, baby, it hit. It tell me when that cycle coming, what day, and like I said, it hits. It's always on point. It didn't come. It was a Friday after work. I was like, let me just take this pregnancy test. Took that pregnancy test, and the pregnancy test was positive. Okay, I wish I could have really recorded this, but I kind of wanted to just share this moment because I was tired of being let down, tired of taking pregnancy tests and it was a negative. And all of a sudden I had a positive. And this particular pregnancy, I kind of knew. I knew. I was like, I'm pregnant. But I didn't want to record. I didn't want to do any of that because I wanted that to be an experience of my husband and I finally getting our positive test. So we finally did, we finally got a positive pregnancy test and we were ecstatic. We were overjoyed, but I didn't want to get too happy because you never know what could happen during that first trimester. That first trimester is the most critical stage ever. And technically, you know, to be honest, that pregnancy is a critical experience in my opinion, because I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be a happy occasion. Where the happiness? Where is the happiness? Because I'm sick. I'm at work still trying to put on a smiling face and I'm just so sleepy, barely can make it. I was exhausted. People are always saying, oh, when are you gonna have a baby? When are you gonna have a baby? And to me, you have to be real sensitive. I'm not saying you have to walk on eggshells around me when we're speaking of fertility, but be conscious of what you're saying to someone because you never know what they're going through internally of why they might not have kids just yet. So kind of be conscious of that. And that's what I always tell people. I have a friend and we talk about that all the time, how it affects us mentally when we hear, why are you not pregnant? Why have you not have a baby yet? You know, it affects you mentally because you don't want to tell that person, look, this one's been going on. You just want to say, okay, well, I just don't. In God's timing, you know, in God's timing. Yeah, in God's timing. So, long story short, we went to our first appointment, our 5-week appointment. Everything, they saw everything. The ultrasound tech was like, oh my goodness, you know, everything is measuring great. You have a healthy gestational sac and a healthy yolk sac, it looks like. We can't wait for you to come back and so you can really see what the baby looks like and hear the heartbeat. And you know, I'm still smiling from ear to ear, skinning and grinning like a chest cat because I'm so excited that we finally have our positive pregnancy test. The doctor was able to confirm that I was pregnant. Everything was great. I was going through that period, did not share the news with anyone. It was like I can count on one hand who we shared the news with. Of course, our mothers, the most important people in our lives. And went on great. Couple weeks after the 5-week appointment, next thing you know, it's time for another ultrasound. This time we're gonna hear the baby's heartbeat. And you know, that wait time is like, oh my goodness. And to be honest with you, I was taking a pregnancy test like once a week. Make sure I was still pregnant. On July the 3rd, the day before the 4th of July, we went to the doctor and that day just felt funny. Now when I think back on it, it felt weird. That day was weird. From the time that I woke up, of course, until the time that I went to sleep, it was a weird day. It was not the usual day. That morning, I got dressed. My husband and I, we said our prayers because he was going to my ultrasound appointments with me. He was doing everything. But that day just felt weird. I never did say anything to him until after we found out the news. So we went to the doctor. Of course, they took, they called me in first, take my blood pressure, everything. Then it's time for us to go to the ultrasound room. Time for the ultrasound. She tried to find it on my belly. We saw we saw it a little bit. We saw the baby a little bit, but she was like, okay, let's do a vaginal. So they did the vaginal. And from there, I looked at the screen. I saw my baby on the screen. I was like, oh, but I didn't hear a heartbeat. So my smile immediately turned into a concern. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, come on, beat, baby. Beat, 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 beat. That's all I want you to do. I just want to hear a heartbeat. I don't care if it's a delayed heartbeat. You're playing possum with me. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So she did her little shots, and I said, hey, are we supposed to be able to hear a heartbeat? Like, I'm far along now that where I should be able to hear a heartbeat. She said, oh, well, sometimes you don't. I looked over at my husband. I'm like, okay. So we were done with the ultrasound tech. And then she said, go ahead and clean up, get dressed. And the doctor, we're going to take you to the other room. That way you can talk to the doctor. Cleaned up, got dressed. Oh, this is the feeling that I never want to experience again. When we opened up that door from the ultrasound room, the look that the doctor and the ultrasound tech, it just had like, damn, I gotta break this news to her. We went back into the room, and I told my husband, I said, I didn't like how they looked at us. Something's not right with the baby. And he was like, yeah, you felt that too? I said, yeah, something's not right. So immediately, as we're waiting on the doctors, you know how they make you wait. Doctor made me wait, and I was like, something's just not adding up. Something's not right. Something is going on. Doctor came in the room, and he was like, well, and I said, don't even say no more. I said, you didn't hear a heartbeat, did you? And he said, no. I said, okay. He said, no heartbeat. Oh, I said, okay. And then immediately he started giving me options of what to do. Something inside of me said, no. I don't want to hear no options of taking the pill, letting it happen naturally, doing a DNC. I didn't want to hear that. So I said, I want a second opinion. Because I always say, advocate for yourself. You know your body. Make sure you advocate for yourself. So he called over to the hospital, Women's and Children, and they were able to see me. So left the doctor's office, went over, it was just like 2 buildings over, went to Women's and Children's to get confirmation, to get a second opinion that there was no heartbeat. When we arrived at Women's and Children, it was maybe one other person in the waiting room. This is the emergency part, okay? So we get checked in, we wait. You know, the hospital makes you wait. So it was one other lady, I remember, as we walked in, after we were checked in, we walked in, we sat down to the right. She was on the opposite side of the room to my left. She was there, and she was pregnant. I don't know her situation at all. I couldn't stop shaking. My husband said, everything's gonna be all right, everything's gonna be all right. Immediately after we checked in, 3 more couples checked in with the same issue. She said, we didn't hear a heartbeat. My doctor told me to come over right away. My doctor told me to get a second opinion too. We saw other couples. When they're coming in, I'm looking at them, they're looking at me, and I'm like, I felt like I just wanted to embrace them. Even in my sadness, even what I was going through myself, I wanted to wrap my arms around those women and tell them that they're going to be okay. Even with everything that I was going through, the Holy Spirit was telling me, pray for them. It wasn't a long drawn out prayer that I did. And I did this prayer in my head. I was just like, Lord, please let their babies be okay. I put my own feelings for my baby away and started praying for these women. Don't even know what was going on in their minds. But every time, you know, one would check in, she'll sit down. You know, you don't want to stare, but you kind of look up and they're looking at me, I'm looking at them, and I just want to grab them and hold them. Because you can hear everything, and I definitely don't like that. I feel like this is such a private, you know, situation. I shouldn't know what's going on with somebody else and vice versa. But at the same time, same token, as we were waiting on the doctors to see us in the emergency OB room, three women checked in, being induced for labor. Do you not know how hard that is? To sit there and worry about your situation. Worry about your situation, but to see three women checking in different times, being induced for labor. Oh yeah, I'm being induced today. I'm being induced today. I feel like the hospitals need to have a separate area for women who are being induced and for women who are in jeopardy, like myself. Because that was hard for all of us to see. At one point, I just wanted to leave and just say, forget it. I don't even want to see a second. I don't even want to have a second opinion, because the doctor, already said that there was no heartbeat, because I'm seeing women being induced. And I'm sitting up here losing my baby. I'm sitting up here losing my baby. Lost my baby. So, doctor, we finally get called to the back. And, they did everything that they needed to do. And this time, when we did the ultrasound, I never did see the screen. Because when we were at the OB appointment, I saw the screen, saw my baby, but just didn't hear a heartbeat. This time, the tech didn't let me see the screen, which I'm thankful for. It was a more intense pain with this ultrasound. Then they sent me back out to the waiting room. Saw another woman checking in, being induced. So I'm back in the waiting room, waiting. And remind you, this is all the day before the 4th of July. And I had family coming in from out of town. And I'm like, I don't even want to spend time with my family, because I don't want to do nothing. I want to ball up in the corner and cry. I just want to ball up in the corner and cry. So, doctor finally calls us, and we go to the back. We go to a room. I didn't get on the bed. I just sat on the couch with my husband, and he's holding me, and I'm sitting up there crying, because I'm like, this is it. This is it. Like, they're about to come in and tell us that we don't have a heartbeat. And sure enough, the doctor came in, said there was no heartbeat. That was my second opinion. She said the best thing for me to do was just let it miscarry on its own. But that could take some weeks to happen. I can take the pill, which will put me in pain, and still will exit the body, or I can have a DNC. I said, I can't make up my mind right now. Y'all want me to make a decision about what I want to do today? I can't. I need to go home. I need to pray on this. It's the day before the holiday, and this is technically not the news that I was hoping to receive. So how can you expect me to make a decision about what I want to do with my baby? How do I want to get rid of my baby? That's not fair to me. That's not fair to my baby. So she told me everything would be okay if I wanted to go home and sleep on it. And that's exactly what I did. And that was on a Thursday, because the 4th fell on a Friday. I went home, prayed about it. And I told my mother, because my mother was texting me like, everything's okay. How's my grandbaby? I'm like, I didn't want to tell her in the hospital. My husband was like, let's just wait. So we waited till we got home to tell our parents. As a matter of fact, I called my mother in the car, and because I wanted to kind of just get it out the way that this is what it is, and I just want to lay down. Don't text me, don't call me, don't do nothing. I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. So the 4th came. I pulled myself together. I wasn't gonna go anywhere. Went up to my mother's house to see my family, said my little hellos, did the little fake laugh, the little fake talk. My mother knew what was going on, so she pulled me to the side to pray for me and told me everything was gonna be okay. And I'm just like, is it? Is everything really gonna be okay at this point? Because I don't even know myself. The weekend passed. I didn't even call the doctor Monday. I called the doctor on Tuesday because I was still, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. I was like, well, maybe it'll have a heartbeat. And I was like, Brandi, you got confirmation from 2 different doctors that there was no heartbeat. So there's no heartbeat. There's a baby, but there's no heartbeat. So I made the decision to have a D&C. And I had that done on a Friday. The day of my D&C procedure, I've never had any type of surgery. And so everybody was surprised, like, you never had any type of surgery? I'm like, no. So the day of my D&C, I really felt like God had placed 3 nurses in particular in my path. Because the first nurse, Mackenzie, she was a godsend. She calmed me down. She was in there talking, find out she's a PK, preacher's kid, and we hit it off. The second nurse that came in, of course, was my operating room nurse that was going to be in there with me, and she took care of me. She took good care of me. My recovery nurse, Miss Mary. And she even got emotional with me. She was like, and the next time I see you, baby, I'm going to see you on the labor and delivery room floor having your miracle baby. When I say God put those nurses at the hospital for me on Friday, He did. I thank God every day that I was able to experience carrying a baby, not for the full length of term, but I know this is not the end for us. I don't want any woman to experience this. But it happens. They say pregnancy is supposed to be one of the most joyous times in your life. I don't see how. When you are going through this, you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. I never want any woman to experience this. This is just a delay. This is just a delay. This is just a little hurdle. It's just a little roadblock. I know God has bigger plans for my husband and I. We're going to continue praying, being patient, being faithful. Trust your gut. If you know if you're pregnant, something's wrong, advocate for yourself. If you feel like something's not right, advocate for yourself. Don't let the doctors intimidate you on making a decision right away. Because I'm still suffering mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I'm still battling. And I find myself just slipping in and out of depression sometimes. I find myself questioning God, even though I know that's not the thing to do. So if you have experienced a miscarriage, my prayer for you is that you are doing okay. And you don't have to suffer in silence. There's a community of women out there who may have gone through the same thing, are going through the same thing, and you never know in the future what could happen. And you know, women, especially black women, we don't like to talk about things of this nature. We like to kind of keep it to ourselves. But I know this is not the end of our journey. This is just the beginning of our journey. And I just wanted to share this with you to encourage someone along the way and tell you why I've been MIA. So I'm trying to put on a smiley face, trying to do some little wig reviews around here. But just know that I'm suffering a little bit. Whew. I'm going through. I'm just going through. So y'all bear with me. It's not the easiest. July kicked my ass. But I'm still here. I'm making it day by day. Some days are better than others. Some weeks are better than others. Even though I'm still, you know, this is still new to me. So that's where I've been. So yeah, this is it. This is it. This is not the end. This is just the beginning of my journey. So I hope you guys stay tuned, because I know God is about to wow me. He's wowing me every single day. And once again, this is just the hurdle that we have to go through. And yeah, that's it. I gotta get off here because I gotta get myself together. Ooh. God is good. But please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.